Okay, good evening. We're calling the meeting tonight at 6:01 p.m. First off is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, okay. Place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have roll call. Commissioner Delegowski. Absent. Commissioner Garcia.
Present.
Commissioner Grace. Absent. Commissioner Haskins.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson is here. Commissioner Khan. Absent. Commissioner McCann.
Present.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Present.
And Commissioner Van Noort. Yep. Great, thank you. So looks like we have a quorum here, and so any old business, A, which is consideration of a cost recovery for beaches, parks, and recreation services, amending the department fee schedule, and establishing a cost recovery policy. Do we have a presentation?
Yes, if I can be brief, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Commissioners. Okay, so this evening we are taking a second look at the cost of services study and the policy and the proposed fees this evening. You will recall we met earlier in the month of October, and out of that conversation, and I went into a lot of detail, and I'm going to try not to go into that level of detail because I think there were some very specific items the Commission wanted to look at again. And out of that meeting, we formed a subcommittee, and that subcommittee included Commissioner Haskins, Chair Johnson, and Commissioner Van Noort. And staff met with the subcommittee and got their input based on the discussion specific to aquatics fees. Staff have also met with representatives from the Water Polo Club and the San Clemente Aquatics team. I want to kind of remind us why we're here and our purpose. In general, we want to address, tonight we want to look at community feedback, and I know there's been a lot of feedback even in the last 24 hours or so. I want to provide some clarity on why we are where we're at as it relates to our fee structure. And ultimately tonight we want to make sure that we're continuing to align our fees with our policies and pursue some level of cost recovery while understanding subsidies are important for the community. They're important for our programs, whether that's a park program or our aquatics program. So tonight specifically, I'll start with the lap pass fees, if you will, or the drop-in swim fees. And you will note that previously there was a proposal to take the resident youth senior rate from what is currently $2, and the previously reviewed rate change was $5. The subcommittees come back with a proposed rate of $4 to drop in. Similarly, they made adjustments to the resident youth and senior quarterly pass to $125. I'm going to try to put this on the screen because I don't know that everybody in our audience has what I'm looking at. And I apologize, Commission, in a one-man show tonight, so bear with me.
You're doing great.
We also adjusted down the resident youth senior annual pass to $250. That was a $50 or thereabouts decrease from our previous consideration. We also made changes to the adult daily, quarterly, and annual swim passes as well. And just for a refresher, in your attachment, which is now attachment 1, it looks like this. It's that kind of very long and lengthy Excel sheet. There's 3 columns there that you're looking at that have fees in them. One of them is the current fee, and that is what we charge today. That middle column is the actual cost. And the next column over, I will scroll down. That's the previous staff report. Here we are. The next column over is the now proposed fee. And again, I'm going to highlight our pool fees first and foremost. We'll start with that. So this is what we're looking at the moment. These are the fees that the subcommittee is recommending going forward. There is a revenue increase with this, and that varies depending on the classification of the pass, but we anticipate generally around $150,000 additional in revenue, assuming and that's based on a year-over-year average over the last 3 years or so. And that can fluctuate, obviously, given different circumstances. We hope to increase our cost recovery by about 5% there, potentially less. Next, I want to highlight, I'll stay in line with aquatics here. Actually, let me hit on fields first, and then I'll get to aquatics. So, again, another component of this was the consideration of the hourly rates for lanes and fields. These mostly impact our partner groups. We have a number of partner groups, again, if I'm focused on fields, which is this section right here. And these are our partner groups. Many of them are tier 1 partners receiving up to 90% off. Some of them receive 85, some 80, and I don't believe we're anything below that. This is a modification of our existing fee structure, as I explained to the commission at our last meeting. We are moving away from the classification of neighborhood, community, and sports parks, and we're moving more into the specific type of field that's being considered to rent. With this modification, this takes some of those partner discounts. Some of them, baseball and softball, for instance, I want to say will pay around, I believe it's $8.50 or thereabouts, which they currently pay $5 an hour per field. We looked at this differently from a different lens of aquatics because it isn't a exact apples to apples transfer like we're doing with the per lane rentals. We have not received any feedback from any of our partner groups related to fields specifically. So that's the recommendation going forward. This again allows them to ease into the increases, adjust their future seasons going forward. And I want to remind everyone that in that middle column is our fully burdened cost of what it actually takes for us to maintain fields at an hourly rate. I want to jump next to our pools. And in this packet, I went past it, sorry. There we go. I think one of the pieces that we've heard most about is this per lane 25 yard per hour fee. Previously, this was doubled. It went to $50 an hour, or about $48, and that was the fully burdened cost. In meeting with the subcommittee and discussing this recommended change with some of the stakeholders, the packet tonight includes a rate of $37, and our senior partners, and we only have 2 aquatics partners, they're both tier 1 partners receiving 60% off of their rentals. This would increase their fee from currently they pay $10 an hour with their discount. This would increase it to $15. Based on the feedback, and I understand we've received a lot of comments, my recommendation this evening would be to lower that. So it's a $2 increase, and that would be at, I'm so sorry, I think it's $32 an hour, but I have to open up another computer. That is, in staff's opinion, the most tolerable rate increase that can continue to align with our policies of some level of fee increase and offset of the subsidy. So, let me grab it. Yes, it is $32 an hour would be the recommended change if the commission's interested in lowering that further based on public feedback. The same thing, it hasn't come up, but the 50 meter per lane per hour fee is proposed to increase as well. You can see at $70. If the commission wants to again ease into that, you could look at lowering that to $62 an hour, and that would again offset. It wouldn't be such an increase for them as well. So, based on all of that, those would be the phased-in approaches. Again, we're looking at taking smaller bites of the apple tonight, with the acknowledgement that we need to do better in monitoring our fees on an ongoing basis. We're aware that many of our organizations increase the fees to their participants annually, while the city does not increase their fees. There's a couple of factors that some of our organizations, and I'm sure you'll hear about some of it tonight, their fees go to a lot of things, including our field partners are 100% volunteer-based organizations, while our competitive aquatics groups typically pay their coaches. So there's salaries and personnel involved in the management of those organizations. I think at this point, I'm happy to take questions if there are any. There is revenue increases that would be attached to some of these proposed rates as well. And I do have a lot of different numbers I can share with the commission if you guys have questions. I have a lot of different scenarios if you're looking more for specifics on lap pass details or pool rate details. I do have some of that information. I didn't want to overload the commission tonight, and I know that there are public comments as well. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are any at this point, but you do have a stack of speaker cards.
Any questions? Thank you, Director White. Any quick questions for you?
Just a question of clarification. When was the last time this was updated?
It depends on the fee. Some of our fees were updated in 2009, some increased in 2016. Aquatics has remained consistent since at least 2009, if not before that. Some of those, that $2 drop-in rate has been that way for quite some time. And we are looking at tonight 173 fees. So keep in mind that this is, again, comprehensive. We're hoping to get feedback and move forward with the study to the council at a public hearing set for November 18th. But I know there's a lot of fees that we're looking at, so I'm happy to take further questions if there are any.
Okay, so I just have a question here. So I know that the original proposed rate increases were much higher, right? And then we worked pretty hard to reduce.
That's correct.
Can you talk about the 25 and 50 yard lanes? How much did we reduce that already?
Yes, so that was reduced by about 50% from the original proposed rate, and the staff recommendation this evening, if commission wants to further consider a reduction, would be to take that 25-yard lane rental down to $32 an hour and the 50-yard lane down to $62 an hour. And again, you're looking at the fully burdened cost for a 50-meter lane is $70, and a 25-yard lane is $48. So it is discounted off of that.
This is between Ole Hansen and the Aquatic Center, right?
This is across all pools.
Just another point of clarification, because this is kind of new to me. But does the Ole Hansen have, do the community teams use Ole Hansen, or is it mainly the Aquatic Center?
They have, historically, yes. It depends on the season, and it depends on the number of swimmers they have and how their swim groups have broken out. The St. Louis Aquatics team, I want to say prior to COVID, was really regularly using the beach club, and they had a private rental that was happening as well. So that's been done in the past. The offer stands so long as staff resources can support it.
Thank you.
Okay. So before we hear public comments, I just want to clarify one more thing. So right now it's $25 per hour for the 25-yard,
Correct.
and we could potentially raise it to 32. Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And then it's right now $55 per hour for the 50 meter.
Yes.
And we could potentially raise that to 62?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's like a 10% increase. You know, we worked really, really hard to really minimize this.
That's not 10%.
Like a,
33%.
well, going from 55% to, 55 to 62, that's about a 10% increase. So, yeah. Okay, great. So we'll do public comment.
And I think Commissioner or Chair Johnson, I think what you're trying to get at is, at the end of the day, if you're not looking at percentages, you're looking at dollars, because that's, I think, what a lot of the comments came in at, is $5 an hour increase is too much. So this proposal takes it to a $2 an hour increase, which is consistent in what we're charging. We're increasing some of our swimmers too as well.
Okay, great. So we welcome the comments. First up, we have Amanda Polonka. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amanda Plonka, and I am the new president for San Clemente Aquatics. I've done this for 30 days, so just indoctrinating me right away. So I'm going to cut to the chase. We are looking at the increase. What Samantha we have had a lot of conversations. What she just talked about, the $12 would be much more palatable for us. It is still a $20,000 increase for San Clemente Aquatics because we use so many lanes, and that still will need to be passed on to our families. We currently we put in a 3% increase. We also, of course, had increases for our budget, and our 3% increase for our families is making us break even. We are not running at a surplus this year. We're doing many things to try to combat that and continue to, increase our revenue so that we can do more from that standpoint. But and also I wanted to address as well that we do pay our coaches. It's about 40% of our expenses are our coaches. 30% of our expense is our pool. So they're pretty close. We pay 10 coaches in that 40%, and then the rest, that 30% of the cost of our costs go to the pool fees. So it is one of our biggest expenses that we have. So obviously we are here to keep those expenses down as much as we can. We aren't opposed to an increase. We understand that we need to increase fees. We do like working with Samantha and the things that she brought forward, but we'd like them to be reasonable, expected, and something that we can actually start to work on and understand so that we can start to deal with different ways to increase our revenue in order to combat those expenses. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. So next up we have Mark Matheson.
Yep. Good evening. My name is Mark Matheson. I am on the board of SCAT. I just want to make a few comments. One is, at the last hearing on the 14th, after public comments, the commission voted the creation of the subcommittee to further look at the aquatics fees. My recollection was that the commission specifically noted that the subcommittee would meet with the different sports teams and clubs. I think that would have been necessary for this critical analysis. I don't think that happened. I understand there was a meeting with the subcommittee, but I think that it would be helpful then to sit down with the clubs to discuss the details and the impact on the clubs before sending it to the vote to the city. That's my first point. The second is, looking at the policy and procedure, it does not appear to include a cap, an annual cap on fee increases. You see this fairly commonly in these types of policies. And we agree, while the increase is needed, it's not really the fault of the public or the sports organizations that the city hasn't done this for 15 years. We're really happy to see that they're dropping down the increase, but it still is a meaningful increase. So I would propose that the commission consider proposing to the city an annual fee increase cap of somewhere between 5 to 10%, which is what I've seen. Final point is, I think what got lost a little bit is the contribution that these organizations make to the city. I have a daughter in water polo, but I'm here speaking of SCAT. I just want to remind the commission, we are a city of watermen. Aquatics is at the core of our culture. We're known as the village by the sea. We have the Ocean Festival for lifeguards. We have the WSL for surfing coming here. We even have the Olympics coming here. This is a hotbed for swim and water polo. We have amazing clubs in this area. And SCAT has been at the heart of the San Clemente Aquatic development for over 50 years, as you know. We feed into the high school, allowing it to be more competitive. Our swimmers compete in CIF and state championships. We feed into junior lifeguards. With SCAT swimmers becoming state and city lifeguards, I know this because my son went through that course and is now a lifeguard with the city. We have trained swimmers that have gone on to thrive in San Clemente water polo and in surf. We've been a great partner. When the facility needed a new scoreboard, our families got together and raised $100,000 to donate a scoreboard, which we will now be renting back. We hold competitions that bring thousands of spectators and participants. So our club has done a lot for the city, and so I hope that the commission will consider that and minimize the impact as much as possible to us. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you very much. Next up, we have Lori Lynn.
Hi, I'm a new resident in San Clemente. I actually moved here about a year ago, and I have an annual pass. So I was just surprised. I recently became aware of the fee increase. So it's going from 200 to 400 for myself. So I guess I'm more curious, why like 100% increase in just that category, right? Why not spread the additional cost across various categories so they don't have such a big increase in that area? I think for myself, I would probably look at alternatives. So I don't know how they're coming up with revenue increase, but I would think you might lose membership with such a high spike and fee. But I would probably look to, like I know LA Fitness has an indoor pool that I could use for probably less. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, we have Michael Long.
Good evening, Commissioners. Hope everyone's doing well. My name is Michael Long. Been a resident for a long time in San Clemente with my wife. We're both educators. So I'm going to just come from more of the parent perspective. I have 2 children that are part of the San Clemente Aquatics team. In particular, my son, who's in middle school, just wanted to kind of let you know how the team has impacted our family. I would say before joining the swim team, like a lot of middle school students with too much time on their hands, son's an awesome kid, but a little lost, not really having as much of a direction, of a sense of even his community. Since joining the team, hardworking, dedicated, able to manage his time, and honestly representing the city of San Clemente at swim meets just gives him a better understanding of the culture of our community and a sense of wanting to compete for the city of San Clemente. And so from a parent's perspective, it's completely changed him in such a better way. But the fee increase would directly impact our ability as a family to still be able to have him on the team. So just to understand from a parent's perspective that this does directly impact our family. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next we have Andrew Solway.
You might want to call like 2 or 3 up to Q, just to speed up.
And then, excuse me, so we're going to do a line because there's quite a few speakers. So if you guys could line up, Caddy Anderson, Shelly LaPlante, Amsa Bromley. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Council. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Andrew Solway. I'm a teacher, coach, former lifeguard here in San Clemente, and a parent of 4 children as well here. And I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity of taking the time to review these fee hikes here. Touching base on what Mr. Matheson was following up on, this program, both water polo and swimming, provide a tremendous amount of pride and integrity to our community of a one town, one team city that we have of our local high school here. We have put forth phenomenal athletes that are going to Division I, prestigious universities, making the city strong and proud. And we have a rich history here. It's really important that we keep that going in spite of raising costs and cost of living going up all around. we know it's difficult for families to make ends meet, and these are really important and impactful programs that we have here that families really just are barely making it, and to raise these rates to so high would be have a profound negative impact on that. I highly encourage you to please accept what the new recommendation that staff has put forth for the Tier 1 programs. That is a very reasonable fee raise that I think most of us can get behind. So I'm just here to please encourage you to take the advice of the staff recommendations on those Tier 1 usage fees. Greatly appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Katie?
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Katie Anderson, and I'm with San Clemente Aquatics. I have 3 children that have come through the program, and we're very dedicated. I think one thing people sometimes don't understand is the dedication of a swimmer. Many of these kids, my 13-year-old daughter, is in the water 6 days a week. She loves it. She's up at dawn, easily, sort of. But most of the time, you know, even on a Saturday morning when she could sleep in, she is pulling herself out of bed and getting to the pool. She loves it that much. When we look at this report, it talks about the proposed cost recovery targets being 50 to 70% for aquatics, far beyond the national community recreation standards. I understand and appreciate that there is fiscal responsibility, and I think that we need to continue that. However, these steep and immediate cost increases risk pricing students out, or children out. The children that are coming to these programs go beyond just basic water safety and swim lessons. They are the kids that are going out to the beaches. They are safer in the water. They become our lifeguards. They feed into our high school, and they embody the San Clemente values of water safety, health, and community connection. Our swim programs, as Mark Matheson said, don't just benefit our members. We give back to the city. We helped with the scoreboard. We raise money for the city to help with that. We host swim meets, and when you look at the impact of those swim meets, we bring in literally hundreds of families from outside of the San Clemente area that often stay in hotels down here. They come to our local restaurants. They feed our local businesses. When we talk about a proposed 1% sales tax increase, these are the people that will be paying that. It will help our stand on our beaches. It helps around the community. I respectfully ask you to phase in gradually and look at long-term solutions for these increases, and appreciate your consideration in this matter.
All right, thank you very much. Shelley?
Good evening. Just to give you an idea of where my opinion is based from, my experience in education has been in accounting, business management, customer services, and marketing. In regards to the cost recovery policy draft, it mentions a lot of variables, percentages, discounts, and other factors that, in my opinion, make it too vague to be described as a transparent or comprehensive policy in regards to setting a plan of cost recovery for hundreds of service fees for a recreation division. There are also a lot of inconsistencies between the 2 documents that I do not have time to mention with under 3 minutes of time. But if analyzed on an accounting basis before making a decision, they would be apparent. What I would suggest is revise the policy draft with a scale of set percentages over a period of, say, 5 years, with consistent increases across the entire recreation department that would be fair, unbiased, and consistent instead of relying on all these variable factors. I think the community would be more receptive to this rather than the current drafted policy. As for the proposed fee schedule, it is incomplete, inconsistent to the policy draft, and not transparent. There is no data on the hundreds of recreation programs or camps, and when they actually should be included in the service fee worksheet. Also, just kind of bugs me, there's no page numbers on the service fee worksheet. An example of inconsistency on the fee schedule is that it doesn't show any percentage of increase from the actual cost for many proposed fees for new individual service items at Holy Hands Beach Club and other facilities. It's my opinion that these drafts not be accepted, but revised, showing a cost recovery policy that is comprehensive, has it consistent across all categories, and a fee schedule from a thorough true accounting that will help with cost recovery without having the burden focused on individual and non-residential participation within this community. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. So, next up in line, we have Julie, Michael Snow, and Anissa. All right. AMSA, go ahead. Yeah, no, AMSA.
What's that?
AMSA.
Are you saying Anissa? And I'm here to speak
It's
for water
Anissa.
polo, so am I in the wrong? You're fine.
Is there an AMSA Bromley?
Oh,
It's
that's me.
Anissa.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Alright.
Yes.
I haven't heard that one before. I brought a slide, Samantha.
Yeah, let me get it up. Hang on one second.
Tell me when to start.
Hang on.
And it's the graph, not the video, please.
Oh, you want the graph, okay.
The cost comparison.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Anissa Bromley. I am the administrator at San Clemente Water Polo. I also have a daughter in the program, and my husband is one of many of our volunteer coaches. Thank you for your willingness to revisit the fees. However, the proposed fee, even at $32, still lacks a real-world view of water polo, and it's due in part by the fee model. Looking at the slide, the city's per lane fee model lacks a field equivalent consideration for water polo, which compounds our fee. When looking at equal use across sports before discounts, water polo families at the current rate today are already paying 2 times more than field sports at the new rate. On top of this, the city extends the highest 90% subsidy to the lowest cost field sports, and only a 55 to 60% partnership discount for aquatics. That's not equitable. The matrix notes that expanded hours were lower cost, so why do lifeguard shortages and pool closings are driving pool costs up that our athletes are paying? There are solutions. The matrix also notes that there are solutions that don't require charging water polo youth, I'll say the $32 lane premium, for the same lane they charge youth lap swim $4 for, and adult not residents $13 for. Our San Clemente water polo youth are paying more than out-of-town adults. That's not equitable, and I don't think that's what your intention is. The matrix also supports high subsidies and cross-subsidy to support small, high-benefit sports like ours. The matrix, along with national benchmarks and school models, indicate that subsidy and cross-subsidy is warranted using higher participation sports to offset small ones like ours. Frankly, I think the city is going in the wrong direction on water polo fees and aquatics fees. We require more subsidy. We're not here to oppose cost recovery. We're here to ensure it is analysis-driven, not just data-driven, equitable and fair, so athletes in our city by the sea are not penalized for choosing an aquatic sport and charged a premium. We respectfully ask that you do a fair and balanced fee, and we've identified a variety of ways to do so in the report I sent earlier, one of which is classifying us as a community benefit under the cost recovery pyramid on page 18, approve us for senior partnerships so we can get the maximum discount. We would also request that the city consider a field equivalent or not to exceed total fee for a water polo field, because whatever that increase is, it's times 7 for us.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I am Julie DeFabrique. My family has been proudly involved with the swim team for over 13 years. Both my husband Jan and I have coached for the club, and Jan has also served as a board member and the club president. Our 2 children grew up swimming here from the time they were little. One now competes for the United States Naval Academy, and the other one is committed to swim at Indiana University next year. As a former world ranked athlete, Jan and I always wanted to provide San Clemente young swimmers with the same opportunities that we were fortunate to have. We invested countless hours in helping build this program and supporting our facility, which we believe is one of the finest pools in Southern California. Over the years, we've dealt with trying to fight for pool space and long course training time, as well as now the fee increase. Our vision has always been to create a top-tier community-based swim program right here in this town, serving all levels athletes from beginners to college-bound swimmers. Our goal is to see homegrown athletes train here from start to finish, earning a place on the Hall of Fame wall that's in the facility, because they were developed right here in our community and not going to other teams. With this increase, it would have significant and immediate impacts for our coaching staff. We have one of the most dedicated, loyal, and skilled coaching staffs in Southern California, including 4 coaches who grew up right in our very own program. A sudden increase threatens that stability and continuity. Families, to absorb this increase, would have to raise membership dues significantly, likely making us more expensive than surrounding swim clubs locally. That could force families to leave or prevent some children from continuing to swim, reducing community participants and athlete development. We understand the need for the increase. Our request is simply that the city consider a phased approach, such as a 10% increase per year. That would allow us to plan reasonably, adjust our dues gradually, and continue providing a high-quality programming without sacrificing accessibility for local families. Jan was instrumental in helping the club return to the water during COVID and securing the donation of our new scoreboard. We have always worked hard to be strong partners with the city and with Parks and Recreation Department, and we want that partnership to continue. Together we can ensure this.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we can have the next couple of speakers line up. Elise, Jason, and Fabia. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael Snow, and this is one of my 2 daughters, Harper Snow. So she does swim on SCAT, and just started and has a long swimming career ahead of her. I was going to come here and mostly just say how important the pool is. I also want to say I really give San Clemente and the Parks and Recreation kudos for the leadership in creating this sports park. It is a fantastic addition to the city. So I was going to say how important it is for my daughters and for us to have the pool. But instead, I'm going to take a little bit different tack. I'm shocked at how much it costs from the few numbers that I saw here. You know, we pay $19,000 a year in property tax. And I know that doesn't all go to Parks and Rec. But oh my God, you know, the cost per an hour for a lane is just amazingly high. And so I don't know what the group has done to look at cutting costs or rationalizing costs, but it just seems to me that raising rates on people, which will drive them away and make it more difficult to be in the pool, making it more difficult to be on the fields, is really the wrong approach. Obviously, I support a small annual increase over a big jump, but I also I just want to say I'm shocked. So, thank you.
Hi you guys, my name is Elise Snipes. I grew up in this community. I swam for SCAT 30 plus years ago. My first job was at Ole Hansen Beach Club where I taught swim lessons and pool lifeguarded. My father-in-law painted the lane lines, the numbers, the bottom of the pool at Ole Hansen. I now have 3rd generation San Clemente kids that are on our San Clemente Water Polo Club. Accessibility is legacy. That's what we're asking for collectively as a group here. that we know there's a disparity right now between what the city is responsible for and how that's getting passed on to the families. The concern is how can we continue to keep San Clemente families local? How can we keep San Clemente teams full and thriving? This next generation, just like the 3 generations that I belong to, is the lifeblood of this community. You guys, if you look across our teams when I'm on our pool deck, I see my schoolmates, I see fellow lifeguards and teachers and business owners in this town. I want to implore you to not miss the heart of what is coming from this town in aquatic programs alone. Our specific ask or request for actions that you would designate San Clemente Water Polo as a community benefit program for the cost recovery pyramid. We ask that you would allow us to retain our senior partnership with reasonable forgiveness. And we would ask that you would adjust the fee model to support equitable access for water polo athletes considering the field disparity. I know this is tough. We want to figure out how we're able to actually meet in a way that this is doable for families to stay in the pool. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, commission members. Thanks for your time tonight. My name is Jason York, and I'm the head coach of the San Clemente Aquatics team. And I just wanted to briefly give a quick history of the team. We were incorporated in 1975. However, we do have roots back to 1966. And we were swimming and programming out of pools such as Ole Hansen Beach Club, Dana Point High School, San Clemente High School, Capital Valley High School, and even Camp Pendleton, the pool on the base, just to keep programming going. So the single greatest gift that has ever occurred to San Clemente Aquatics team is having access to the San Clemente Aquatic Center. So I want to thank all of you guys for all of your work that you do to keep all the sports programming and fields and facilities running, and everyone before you as well. We often have a waiting list, and we're always looking at a need for more space. So basically what we do is we serve the youth of San Clemente, and sometimes that includes neighboring cities, basically 5 to 18 years old, provided that they pass the prerequisites required in our city agreement. And sometimes we have swimmers who come back from college and swim with us during the summers, and they train with us. And that's always a great thing, because we are a family, and they come back and they teach and they provide themselves as role models to the younger swimmers. We also have, at the pinnacle of our team is the national group, and these guys are the swimmers who aspire to swim at the collegiate level. They are some of the most hardworking, dedicated, amazing kids you'll ever meet. And that's, if they're that way in a demanding sport such as swimming, they're the same way in the classroom. And they, quite often, in high school and college, they lead their class with GPAs and such. It's important to me, I'm very proud of the fact that we offer what's called a Fit Prep program. And this is really essentially for kids who, quite often, they don't necessarily have the agenda to be elite athletes. They're just looking for a safe environment to be part of a team, get some exercise, and a lot of times in this uber competitive environment in Orange County, where everyone's chasing a roster spot, we offer a kind of a non-competitive group, and a lot of these guys, they have ADHD, sometimes severe ADHD, Tourette's, we have autism, and sometimes injuries, and this is a good fit for them, and or disabilities, and we've had quite a few people have come through that group specifically with multiple sclerosis and other things. For the sake of time, is that it?
Thank you. All right. Okay, great. So if we could have Fabia, Elise, and Jason line up. Maybe they could have multiple. Okay, let's see here. Thomas, R.C. Mills, and Christopher, if you guys could line up next, that'd be great. Go ahead. Did you guys show multiple? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for having us here today. Can you hear me all right? So earlier today, I heard about this meeting and there we go, there's the mic. And I wrote all of you a letter. And I received 3 responses, and I'm grateful for those 3 responses. I'm not going to read my whole letter here today, but in looking at what you presented here, I think we're missing a few points. I'm a mother, and I'm a landlord. If I raised rents on my tenants 33% in 1 year, out of the blue with a 30-day notice, how do you think that would affect them? That is why we have rent control. But you know what? Even rent control says you can raise the rent 5% over the inflation rate of your area. Our inflation rate has been about 3.3%. So that means our raises, if we were looking at a rental, should be no more than 8 to 8.5%. So I wanted to bring that to light as a landlord. As a mother, I feel for the kids of San Clemente. I think we have a fantastic city. I moved here in 2012. My husband and I wanted to raise a big family here. Unfortunately, we only had 1 child. She was our miracle baby. She started with the swim team at 7 years old. She's now 11, and she loves it. She swims 6 days a week. An 11-year-old that doesn't care to wake up at 5 in the morning on Saturday. This team is teaching our kids discipline, how to compete in the real world, and how to be a kind person. There's so many values that are being taught in our aquatics teams, including water polo. So I wanted to bring that to light. I also looked at the competing swim centers, like Mission Viejo and Irvine. Those are our 2 big rivals, by the way. I don't know if you've ever come to a swim competition, but I invite each and all of you to come to our next swim competition, whether it's here or away. But I noticed that their lane rates are 1/4 of the price for children versus adults, or half. What I'm seeing on the board here today is you're proposing a very minimal discount for kids, where other cities are saying, hey kids, we know you're going to benefit from this. 25 cents.
Thank you.
On the dollar.
Good evening. I'm Logan Powell. I'm representing San Clemente Water Polo, a proud community nonprofit that's trained thousands of local kids, produced dozens of lifeguards here in the city, over 30 collegiate athletes, and countless community leaders. I swam for SCAT, and I played water polo for San Clemente Water Polo Club. While we appreciate the amended fee proposals of around 17%, in numbers, so you guys know, like a 20% increase means around $600 more per year per athlete, and we have some families that have 3 athletes in the program. So it's significant on the number side. While the fees weren't recently raised by the city, we operate out of 4 pools currently. Obviously, the demand for water time in this community is off the charts, and we understand that it's difficult. This Hermosa is already our most expensive pool that we use by far. And so it's forcing us to have our members commute. According to the city's own matrix report, the city's cost recovery rate is around 38 to 40%, and that's already at the high end of the national average, according to this report, which is between 20 and 50. Further cost increases exceed the best practices demonstrated there and threaten equitable access. The city rental fee structure charges water polo team per lane rather than per course. So it results in a compounded rental cost of around 300% higher than field sports. There's a reason there's no pushback from any of the field sports people, as Samantha mentioned. For example, unsubsidized numbers for a water polo team pays around $8,500 a month. For a 7-lane course, which is what we use up there, 10 lanes is standard. We go smaller just so we can use the pool. While a grass field team pays an unsubsidized amount of $2,500, more or less, for a field. We reviewed the city's matrix report, which clearly states that programs with unique community values should be subsidized, and I think that's us. According to the matrix report, expanding pool hours and increasing utilization would lower costs across the board without unfairly charging the families who already bear the highest burden. I understand the pool is closed a lot due to staffing shortages for lifeguards, and I think that it would behoove the aquatics communities if we spent a lot more time focusing on staffing. Right now, our beautiful facility is closed 12 to 4:30 most days, which is, peak hours for the community use. We do our part. We're mostly volunteer run. We exceed scholarship requirements 3 to 4 times over. We offer free clinics, and we're a model for the USA Water Polo nationwide. Our athletes give back as lifeguards, junior lifeguards, and academic role models. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate you.
Okay, if we could have Elise and Jason line up, please.
All right, good evening, Commission. My name is Thomas Dollar. I've grown up in this community my whole life. I did swim lessons at Ole Hansen. I've been a scat swimmer and Triton water polo. Well, before Triton polo existed, but on the local polo club. Been an ocean lifeguard for 20 years for the city as well, and I now coach the San Clemente swim team for about 12 years. My career and my passion are aquatics, and I couldn't be here without the affordability of local clubs, programs like SCAT and Triton Polo. It wouldn't exist. The key word is local. Our San Clemente high school swimmers and polo players are the definition of local. They participate in these local club programs, putting in their practice time, and then when they're done, they're going to high school swim practices sometimes, and then after that, they're going and serving at the pools, they're serving at the beach as lifeguards. How can we trust them to look after our safety on the beach if we're not going to put some money and invest in their training? So the other side that Logan was just speaking to is we've had a labor shortage of lifeguards for the last 5 years since COVID, and it seems to be increasing the fees on these clubs is going to exacerbate that problem. We're going to have less labor supply to actually work these pools. So the final thought I have is that these club organizations are local. The club fees are paid by local owners, Logan being a part of the managing board, and our local owners that have already come up, and the staff are local as well. This money stays, in San Clemente. If the fees are going up 40% or whatever, we end up going, it's going to make these clubs non-competitive to the local surrounding community. Mega clubs like national, like Nadors, Mission Viejo Nadors, or the El Toro SET program, have a potential inroad to get here and start making market space in our local pools. The cool thing that everybody's been talking about is San Clemente is an aquatics community. And if we go this direction, it seems like we're not investing in our kids, we're not investing in the future of aquatics and the unique culture that is San Clemente, like the Village by the Sea. So strongly encourage you guys to reconsider these drastic increases to the fee schedule, and if anything, let's just invest in aquatics for the future. Thanks.
Shannon Mills, Cameron Mills, Jan. Go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Shannon Mills. I'm a proud parent, San Clemente parent with both a son and a daughter in the San Clemente Water Polo program. They've also gone through the aquatics program. I'm proud to say that my daughter is our athletic speaker tonight. I'd like to share what this program has meant for my two very different kids. My daughter just made the transition to high school, a time that for most parents brings the usual worries. Will she find her place? Will she be accepted? Will she feel confident in a much bigger, more complex world? Because of this program, those fears melted away. From day one, she was surrounded by teammates who welcomed her, challenged her, and supported her.
She stepped onto campus already connected to mentors, to role models, to friends who share her values and her work ethic. This community gave her confidence and belonging where she needs it most. The program and her coach have built in her a belief that she can go anywhere and achieve the highest goal she sets for herself, and she sets her aim pretty high. And then there's my younger son. His experience has provided camaraderie and a being a part of something positive and meaningful. He shows up every day to an environment that values effort, sportsmanship, and character over status. He's proud to be part of a team full of genuinely good people immersed in our San Clemente culture. That's what makes this program special. It meets kids exactly where they are, and it helps them to become their best selves, whether that means competing at the highest level or simply just being part of a team that makes them feel seen or valued. And San Clemente Water Polo does deliver that. It's not just my family. This pool deck is where kids learn leadership, empathy, and resilience. It's where we see the true meaning of community partnership. That's why I'm asking you to support our fair fee request to get water polo fees in line with the other field sports and to not price us out of the town that we love. We already are paying more per athlete. My kids have learned that working hard pays off. I think we can work harder together to come up with a more equitable solution that doesn't price San Clemente Water Polo out of San Clemente. It's not just about economics, it's about persevering, preserving access to community that is shaping our youth in the best ways possible. So before you vote, I invite you to take a moment to watch a short highlight reel that my daughter created. It shows better than words ever could what this program gives back in our city, which is connection, joy, and pride in San Clemente. And again, just to reiterate, we're asking that you designate San Clemente Water Polo as a community benefit. This program, per the cost recovery pyramid, matrix 18 and 19, on page 18 and 19, qualifying for the highest possible subsidy. Thank you.
Next speaker.
We have someone who is set for the video. Should they go next?
Yes, yeah.
She needs to come to the podium.
Yeah, if you could start the video, RC Mills.
It's not on the screens yet.
Oh, of course it's not. Hang on one second, sorry.
I just need to make a note that it was a video. There's no-
Hi, my name is Cameron Mills. I request that you recognize San Clemente Water Polo for the high community benefit we provide and grant us the highest subsidy on the fee recovery pyramid at the same 90% discount soccer receives. I've been part of this club since I was 10. I proudly represent San Clemente Water Polo Club and San Clemente High School. Last year, our San Clemente High School water polo team made it to the IF Division I finals to lose in an overtime tiebreaker. My San Clemente Water Polo Club team won gold at the Junior Olympics in our division. I've also had the honor of competing at the national level through the Olympic Development Program and a regional zone team. But what matters most to our sport community isn't athletic success. It's how we grow. Many of us start together in splash ball and grow up through the program, learning not just how to compete, but how to lead. Work hard, persevere, support one another, and how to represent San Clemente with pride. San Clemente water polo athletes are leaders in the classroom and in the community. Outside the pool, I serve as a junior lifeguard cadet and volunteer as an assistant coach for splash ball and our Tangy girls. Many of my teammates do the same. We lead beach cleanups, volunteer with assist teams, Action Angels, a team sponsor families' needs and Christmas gifts, and participate in home builds. We're not just athletes, we're active citizens. We are highly involved in lifeguards as junior lifeguards, city and state lifeguards, and lifeguard instructors. We're academic All-Americans, valedictorians, and ASB officers, including presidents and vice presidents. This year, San Clemente High School's homecoming king and queen were both San Clemente water polo players. That's the kind of community culture San Clemente water polo creates. Our coaches are former players who return to mentor the next generation, including my coach, who played for San Clemente High School, earned a scholarship to UCLA, where he won the national championship title and returned as a volunteer coach. He is one of many who do the same. In the past 8 years, more than 30 of my peers have gone on to play at top universities like UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, UC Davis, and the University of Hawaii. We have a legacy of excellence that inspires us to reach high and to give back to our community. I don't know any other sports clubs in our town that functions or gives the same. San Clemente Water Polo is a sports family, a leadership academy, a force for good in this city. I hope you'll continue to support us, not just for the medals we win, but for the people we become and how we serve. Thank you for your time.
Hello. My name is Jan D. Fabrique, and I was the former president of the board at San Clemente Aquatics. I thought when I retired from that board membership, I didn't have to get up here and speak again, but here I am because I couldn't sit back and listen to some of these increases that are taking place. For me, a rate increase equals a commensuration of quality of service, something that has gone down over the last 5 years through the post-COVID era. As a reminder, a pool is a community amenity. It is an amenity for our kids, for our young adults, for our adults, and our seniors. Our two clubs here, San Clemente and Water Polo, Aquatics and Water Polo, are a large portion of the revenues, both from space and from competition. They both have sent kids, as this young lady just stated, to Division I colleges and some to the Olympics. As a reminder, this facility was built on the revenues from the construction of Target. And so we should leverage some of that as well, continue leveraging that. But as I stated earlier, the services that have gone down, and I'm not going to nitpick too much, but long course water is a contentious point. And the silliness of reserving lanes that remain empty while other lanes are impacted is an issue. We also talked about the donation of our $100,000 scoreboard, and to use it as an act of Congress. I have no issue on increases, but they should mirror inflation, as this lady just stated. And if you want to add the 5% based on the rent control, I have no problem with that. But what I can't answer is the why this wasn't done before, and that's between you all, between 2009 and 2016. But the recommendation of tranching these increases on a phase, in one tranche versus a phase approach, is inconsiderate to the constituents. We're here to ensure a fair balance of increase and commensurate inflation in services without sacrificing the amazing amenities in our backyard. In the end, it's not about me, it's about the kids, it's about the community, and it's about everyone else in this room and the future of this room. Thanks for listening, and have a great evening.
Is it Elise or Jason here?
I heard something about the matrix.
I think we spoke already.
Different areas.
So, okay, so I think that's everyone. So we're gonna close the public comment. Okay. We'll open it up for discussion.
I love this community. I mean, it's just, it's such a wonderful place and such passionate people. I, of course, have some questions that I would like to ask, and I apologize if my questions are silly. I was a dancer. We didn't do that in the water. Ballet. Just to clarify, possible ballet. So, Samantha, now I'm embarrassed. Samantha, can you speak, under the new aquatics partnership policy, where do SCAT and water polo currently fall?
Both of them are considered Tier 1 partners, so they are our highest level of partnership.
And can you refresh, what's the discount?
60%.
60%. And that is in alignment with the partnership discount that we give for fields, correct?
No, that's a lower rate. The Fields Tier 1 is 90%.
And that designation of the partnership policy Tier 1 is separate from the designation of community benefit?
I believe what the speakers are referring to is within the policy, where there's some tiers that specify levels of community benefit. And
It's the 5 tiers.
It's in your policy attachment 5.1.1, I believe. And that's where it outlines the different levels of cost recovery options and tier recommendations.
No. Sorry, I'm looking for it. I agree, case numbers would be.
It's attachment
Thank you.
3.
Okay, so. This policy, that one. Got it, you said 5. Yes, got it, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Why was SCAT and water polo not designated as a tier 1 or 2? What was it designated as? It was aquatics, youth sports, it was a tier 3?
That's correct.
Is that because essentially it's not a free entity to the community?
Correct. So there's a level of personal benefit for individuals
Nonprofits,
participating in those programs.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask a couple questions about the subcommittee discussions? Was there any discussion of a phased approach to the pay increases or the fee increases?
Do you want to speak to that, Brian?
We were focusing more on the current proposed increase in fees, and I think at the end of this, I think we might discuss the reevaluation to reassess what the impact of any increased fees are based on participation and revenue increase, at the annual review. But we're more focused on what would be appropriate fee increases at this time. And the other thing you're asking about the tier, putting aquatics in the equal benefit for individual versus community, that was the assessment of the Matrix Consulting Group. That wasn't that's just where they put it. And I know that's subjective and very hard to quantify and might be much different in a beach community than it is in an inland community.
I'm sure the answer is similar, since it sounds like the discussion was mostly about what is a reasonable fee increase. Was there any discussion about an annual cap?
No, not really. We didn't get that far. We're kind of focused on the feedback we were getting from the community is that, more than doubling a fee at one time was not going to be palatable. So we definitely wanted to limit any fee increases to, less than 100%, or 100% or less. So that's where that came in.
I'm sure I'll have more in a second.
Okay. I have a question. So how much of the annual $2 million expenses for the pool go to payroll?
Catching me off guard, Sharon.
Sorry.
That is, let me see if I can get that answer for you.
That's
Give me a second. I
know
have to
that
pull up a
was-
different report.
Where I was going with that is how much then for fields, right? Because they're asking to be comparable to fields. How much?
Yeah.
How much of the expenses for fields goes to payroll?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm going with that.
Yes. So without giving you specific numbers, and I will try to pull those up, I can tell you that the pool, as you know, requires staffing on site whenever the pool is open. So
We have swimmers
we're
going at 5 a.m.
correct.
Right.
The pool, when it's open at 5:30 in the morning all the way till 8 p.m., there's always got to be staff there.
Right.
And that's just lifeguard staff who are monitoring the pools.
Right.
That doesn't include the full-time staff.
Right.
Versus fields, we don't have field attendants sitting
Right.
counting people as they enter the field. We have maintenance contractors that come, they do their work on a set schedule. It's not every day, depends on the field. Whereas on the aquatic side, there is a full-time staff member dedicated to managing the pumps alone at the two facilities. That's in Public Works Maintenance. So the staff costs are greater for aquatics.
Thank you.
And there's staff shortage, is that?
That was hit on. The city struggled getting lifeguards after post-COVID. It's a number of different issues to include. Back when I think it was Thomas mentioned he was a guard. We've had guards that many years ago it was a really great benefit to be a city employee. Because the city notoriously paid more than minimum wage, significantly more than minimum wage. And with the recent changes and state laws that have increased fast food wages in particular, it's becoming more and more challenging to compete with some of the local food businesses. And so we've tried to keep pace with that, but as is with any public process, we have to adopt a new salary schedule. So we've tried to upkeep. We are currently in the midst of offering an 18% increase for any lifeguard willing to work from 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's how we fought. Our pool's open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. We're still working on that for Tuesday, Thursdays, but that it should demonstrate that our labor costs have continued to rise. We anticipate that increasing again come the new year with some additional increases that we've seen locally at some of the other fast food restaurants in town where it is an incredible amount of responsibility to be a lifeguard, where you can be sitting on a lifeguard stand and be responsible for somebody's life in front of you, or you can go be sitting at In-N-Out doing French fries. They're just dynamically different. And so it is important that we have incredibly qualified individuals, and we want to pay them as that. So that's part of the staffing shortage. We also as we've heard, we have had some incredibly talented and smart staff come through our pool lifeguard program, so much so that they're all going to Ivy League colleges and they're leaving us after their senior year. So we're not getting a lot of the 18 and older students like we used to get. We used to get a lot of Saddleback college kids, and that would help us with our attrition and how we bring in a new ring of people. And it's wonderful. It goes to speak that San Clemente youth are talented, they're smart, they're bright, but it's making it difficult for us to retain for those middle day shifts and also recruit as well.
And then just an observation, it seems like one of the bigger issues is the unit cost for swim, or water polo specifically, right? Where the per lap or per lane might not be the best unit cost to look at. Just as if the subcommittee talks about it, you might want to recommend a different unit cost for that type of team sport. I don't know.
Are there options to designate, because, so, and that was one of my follow-up questions, and this is a naive question. It sounds like if I'm a water polo team, I need to rent out the 7 lanes, and so then this is the cost per lane, so I've got this times 7 to pay.
Yes, if they're looking to set up a course. Oftentimes they're using the pool for practices. They're not always removing the lanes, so they're using them as the swim team would use them. That can vary.
I had just a question for Samantha first before I have some comments. The total revenue in the report for the aquatics was $690,000.
Correct.
Roughly, do we know how much of that total revenue comes from SCAT between lane rentals and swim meets and all the other things they do?
This is a very rough number, but I believe water polo pays about $10,000 a year, and SCAT falls somewhere between $130 and $140 per year. So it gets the partner groups contribute about $150,000 towards the revenue. The lion's share of revenue actually comes from swim lessons and water aerobics classes. And those are not addressed in this study. Most of those are contracted out, and independent contractors are not included in this as they are their own entity and operator.
So there's a possibility that we could increase fees for them and moderate the fee increases here, and it would all even out.
There's some regulations related to independent contractors. Because they're their own contractor. So there's some.
So it would be when the contract comes up.
No, we can't force them to set fees at a certain price. We can make sure that it's aligned with the best interest of the facility. So what we don't want to see is all of a sudden private lessons are being offered at $25 as opposed to the $80 that they are now. That wouldn't be allowed. It has to be within reason. But as soon as the city starts stipulating the methodology of how a contractor manages their program, we blur a line with being an employee and being an independent contractor. And there have been cities that have been sued over that. So we're very conscientious about how we approach those conversations with our contractors.
Okay, thank you. And just a couple of, just real quick, my background is that my father was on the founding board of SCAT in 1974, and I remember talking to him, asking him if SCAT was really a good name for the team. But at that time, there was no pool at the high school. Ole Hansen was here, but we went to all those places to swim. So, being kind of a founding swimmer on SCAT and on the first water polo team at San Clemente High School and traveling around the county and getting creamed by a bunch of big teams, that's my background. But it took me, who was a not very good swimmer, to a mediocre swimmer. I hired as a lifeguard. They sent me to be an EMT, worked in the emergency room. That led to medical school, and really changed my life, so I do appreciate it. And my point is that when Matrix Consulting Group assigns swimming and water polo to an equal individual community benefit, I would agree with a lot of the speakers that the benefit to the community is a lot more than, than I think they think it is when they're comparing us to some inland places like Costa Mesa and other places. So having said that, my concern is that I understand we have to increase fees. It just can't, I don't think it's sustainable for the city to, work at more than $1 million loss, $1.25 million loss every year. But my concern is that an increase in fees would lead to a decrease in participation, and that would lead to a decrease in the partnership tier, which leads to a decrease in the discount, which would increase the fees to the individual and create a vicious cycle where the participation goes down. And although the intent was to increase revenue, I've seen in instances where increasing revenue, increasing fees decreases overall revenue. So I don't want that to happen. So in light of that, I'm leaning towards accepting the staff recommendation for the decrease in increase in fees that we saw today, with the including the discounts going from $10 to $12 a lane for the 25 yards, and I forget the math, but I think it was $62, and then discounting down to something reasonable for the 50 meter lanes. And then what I learned from you guys today is I think water polo is sort of at risk of becoming non-viable and looking for other alternatives. So we're focusing on aquatics, but we're looking at 175 different fees, weddings, soccer fields, all sorts of things. I would say that I would be acceptable to the current recommendations of the staff, but to freeze the water polo fees where they are, and then look at quarterly the participation and revenues in all 174 of those lines and see what the response is, and then continue discussions with the water polo club to see if we can work out something that's amenable to the city and the club. And that was the second part, is that when we do an annual review based on those quarterly inputs, to take not just a predetermined increase in the fees, but base it on the response to the increases we make today, and take the input from the BPR director, factoring in inflation, but to kind of revisit this again, and so that we may end up keeping the same fee next year. We may end up increasing it, but if the participation drops and the revenues drop, we might go back to where it was before. So I think after any of the other comments, that would be...
So to piggyback off of that, fees have to raise, like that's just the nature of it. But to kind of counteract that, what if we brought back that policy that we just voted on, I think in June, the aquatics partnership policy, and looked at that. Okay, so we have the fee increases, the lower fee increases that were suggested. That's what we recommend to go to council, because we're not necessarily voting on this. Like, we're not setting this. This is going to a public forum on November 18th, and then council's going to vote on it. We don't get to set that. But what we can do is work on the aquatics partnership policy with these new fees in mind, and try and adjust those numbers to make it doable. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, so I think what we're trying to do, we have a couple of options that we're looking at to make this a little bit more feasible, particularly it sounds like when we're looking at this lane rental. So I've heard a couple of ideas. I've heard that we could potentially have a new unit of measurement where we're talking about if this is going to be used for, is it called a meet?
Yes.
Thank you. So if it's going to be used for a meet, we could potentially have a different line item for that. Another option could be to freeze it and evaluate moving forward. And then third option that's been brought forth is to move this forward and then look at the partnership policy. Did I miss any?
So just kind of looking at this, all 175 or however many there are, right? It seems like there's some elasticity to certain areas, right? Like weddings, you can charge up more, right? But to community sports and stuff, obviously soccer isn't really feeling this right now. This seems like an aquatic issue. And so there's certain line items on here that are creating friction, and I mean, you raise it till you hear the squeaky wheel, and the squeaky wheel has obviously been it's aquatics right now, it seems. So yeah, to me the freeze makes sense and could increase elsewhere and make up.
Well, that's also why I would recommend reviewing the partnership, because that's specific to these two people sitting right here. So if we approve to pass this on to council, right, we're not approving that council gets the final say. But if then we can look at the aquatics partnership with these numbers in mind, then we can work harder to make it so that these can be viable.
Can I ask a question about timeline with that, Samantha, the feasibility of that? Knowing that I think the timeline for these fee increases is January 1st. And would we be able to mitigate the cost through the partnership policy if we went that route? Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I have to think about the calendar.
Right, we have a meeting on December.
You have a regular meeting in December. You would have to work through another iteration of a policy in order to, you could establish another subcommittee tonight that can look at that policy again and bring something back to your December meeting. That policy though wouldn't go to council until after the new year, because their meetings are before, their December meeting is before your guys' December meeting. So it would be very close, what we would be looking at is pretty close in time.
Could an option be, if we went with these lower recommendations of the 32 and the 62, and then reviewed the partnership policy?
What about, do you have the numbers for what a 10% increase would look like?
Yes, somebody,
10%.
Somebody had mentioned that. So a 10% increase would take the 25-yard lane rental would go from $25 currently to $28. That would take the partner discount rate would be $10 and it would go to $11.20.
Okay.
That's a 10% increase.
I mean, a 10% increase sounds a lot more palatable than a 22 and 13% increase respectively.
Could,
Yeah, I would recommend capping it at that, and just getting through the new year, and then working on the partnership, right, so we can bring it down more equitable.
Just for the 25-yard lane
rental. Yeah, I don't know, so what, is the 50-yard lane rental for scat and water polo, like?
That, mostly SCAT uses that.
Mostly SCAT.
And it is, the 50-meter pool is a little bit more staff intensive to
It seems like a
set up
luxury.
and take down, yeah. Our goal will be to bring it back online, but
right.
it's a bit limited during the fall. We do have long course during the summer. But we can look at the same thing. Let me figure out what 10% is, hang on.
Well, so right now at 62, which was proposed, that's 12%.
Okay.
So
So I would, my proposition would be to do the like the lane, okay, I'll get it. The lane prices seem to be the pain point. If we recommend a 10% increase, which is for the partnerships for what, $10 to $11.20, right?
Yes.
And create a subcommittee to review the partnership. I know we wouldn't get it to council on time before that January 1st increase, but we could try and get it as soon as possible, right? But still, it would be a $1.20 increase at least versus.
And that would take your, I hear what you're saying, that would take your 50-meter lane from $55 to $60 with a discount of, they get 60% off of that.
Okay. What does everyone think?
I would be open to that if you have a motion.
So just to clarify, we would be reducing
Only 2 items.
the recommended rate from 70 to 60 for the 50, and then we'd be reducing the recommended rate from 48 to, was it 28? Yeah, for the 25.
A 10% increase from what it currently is.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be if you're gonna go with that recommendation, just, yeah, a 10% increase of the current cost for the per lane rental for the 50-meter and 25-meter.
Okay. And then I think those should be 2 separate motions.
Yes.
No, it's one motion, right?
No,
you can.
then to create a subcommittee to, again, review the aquatics partnership.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanna kind of bifurcate to have a motion for the fees and then another motion for the policy.
Yeah. So I make a motion to amend the proposed cost for the 25-yard lane and the 50-meter lanes to be a 10% increase from the current cost.
I second that.
You can fold the 25-yard in if you want.
25-yard,
You
whatever
can
the
fold
lanes
both of
are.
those in.
No, 25 and 50.
Yes.
25 and 50?
Yeah, yards.
Okay. Can I just say all lane?
No, it needs to be specific to the
Specific?
per lane fee for the
Okay,
50
so
meter.
25 yards, 50 meters per lane.
Yes. 10% increase, I got it.
10% increase.
Okay, great, and so we had a second, so we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstain or no? Okay, that passes unanimously.
Okay, and then I make another motion to create a subcommittee to review the aquatics partnership and have something to present at our next BPR meeting in December, if not before the special meeting is.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Did that previous motion include accepting staff recommended fees for all the other items?
Yes.
No, it
Not
didn't.
yet, but we
Yeah.
can absolutely
Great
make that
catch,
work.
Commissioner Haskins, yes, we need the whole,
We need the whole-
finish your
the whole
policy,
thing, okay.
yeah, finish your policy motion.
Let's finish this.
Okay, so yeah, I make a motion to create a subcommittee to review the
No.
aquatics.
Wait, sorry.
So it's not the
Point of order, Director, did we just pass everything?
No.
No, you only passed you made a recommendation to increase the pool fees for
Okay.
those two. What I would recommend is take that, if you look at the staff recommendation, you can recommend the staff recommendation as written with the modification to item 2, to reflect the prior motion for the increase.
Okay. Can I just say ditto to what you guys said? Let me make that motion. No, okay, I make a motion to accept the staff recommendation with the amendments previously voted on to A2.
Okay.
second.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any abstain or no? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, and then I make another motion to create a subcommittee to review the aquatics partnership policies and have that ready at the December 16th meeting in Knoxville.
Oh, second. I was just like, that sounded great. Now we vote on that. We gotta vote for it.
Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain or no? Okay, passes unanimously.
And can we appoint people to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Commissioner McCain and I were on that last time. I'd love to be on it again. And then Commissioner Haskins, do you have any interest in
I
being
do.
on that with us? Cool. Okay.
And you can have up to 4, so if there's somebody that you want to appoint who's not here. I'm just kidding.
Or anybody else, if anybody else wants to join, anyone else wants to join that one.
I mean, I would say I would, but I have a 2-year-old, so.
Hey, I got a 2 and a 4-year-old. I got a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Well, since we're sharing, I have an 85.
Yeah, you guys
We're not bored.
better get this than me.
All right. Cool.
So we don't need to vote on that, we can just appoint them.
You can just appoint them
Okay, so-
if you guys, unless anybody is adamantly opposed to that.
Yeah,
If anybody wants to join.
I'll join for the time being, asterisk by my name.
Okay.
Okay, great, so,
Okay.
okay, great, so thank you for everyone's participation. So next, do you want to do
Yeah.
you have any new business?
No,
That's
that's
fine,
it.
done on it.
Okay.
All right, I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I consider adding an agenda item to our next regular meeting? There's some.
Yeah, you'll want to go back on this item. Is it related to fees and things? Somewhat?
It's more process at the aquatic center.
Yeah, we can, yes, why don't we hear it?
To look at the basically utilization. Now there's a process where you can, as an individual, reserve a lane for yourself, and you can just pay the daily fee. Or if you're an annual pass holder, you can just go on the computer and reserve a lane 2 days in advance, and that's your lane. You get your own lane, and then there's the other lap swim lanes. If 7 people show up, they have to go in those other lanes, and I wanted to see if we could agendize it so we could get some input from the swimmers and make a decision if that policy needs to be continued or modified.
Yeah, I think you guys can do that as it relates to fees and how the passes are applied.
Okay.
That would fit within this study.
Okay, so you want to make a motion to add that?
Yes.
Okay. Go for it.
Or we just need someone to second it, right?
I
Yeah.
want to know specifically.
We don't need to make a motion, just someone second it?
I do need a second, so Commissioner Haskins, the second motion, do we have a second on that? To get it on the agenda with some staff time, I need a little bit more.
Okay.
Or it could just be if I can get a second, we put it on the agenda, it can open up for discussion at least.
Okay.
Limited.
Okay,
So we'll do-
okay, I second that.
Okay.
Great.
All in favor?
I don't think we need to.
Okay, so then, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting until our next meeting of the BPNR Commission on December 16th, 2025, 6 p.m. at City Hall, Council Chambers.
We need a second.
Second it. Yeah,
So,
sorry, you got me.
thank you. Sorry, it's eager to get up there.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
So much passion. I just like my daughter.
I was a